Hi guys and welcome to our channel. If you like this episode, please do subscribe and click the bell icon and support me. DK Web Series Season 1 Episode 1 The Letter. In the city of Vijayawada, on the 7th of July, two men approached the police station. One of them was Mr. Sridhar Kumar, about 48 years old, with spectacles. He was in medium height. He had a dark hair and mustache with white streaks. The other person of them was a relative of Sridhar Kumar. He was also the same age of Sridhar Kumar. He accompanied with Sridhar Kumar to the police station. They both were in misery and worry. It was getting 7 o'clock in the morning. Sridhar Kumar had given a complaint that his son Sampat Kumar had been missing since previous day. That means, on 5th of July evening 6 o'clock onwards. He had filled the formalities in and submitted some details and identities need in finding his son, such as photograph, age, height, identification marks, contact number and address. Most essential, when Sampat Kumar was leaving his home. He had worn a dark black jeans trousers and dark blue half-hands shirt with horizontal and vertical white lines on it. After the missing case had been registered by the police constable, the two men left the police station by keeping trust on police department in finding Sampat Kumar. That was the first registered case on that day in that police station. Few minutes later, a man approached the police station on his bike in police uniform. He was about 27 years old. He was tall and handsome with dusky skin tone and dark short hair. He got off his bike and parked in front of the police station as usually. His name was Srinivas, who had been working as a sub-inspector in that police station. He entered into the station and sat in his cabin. 5 minutes later, Ravi the police constable had come into Srinivas' cabin with a coffee and gave to him. He was about 32 years old. He was tall and dark. Well, S.I. Srinivas began to speak. Is there any new case for today? Srinivas asked. Yes sir, replied Ravi. It is a missing case, he said. Get me that, Srinivas said. Yes sir, replied Ravi. He went out of the cabin and fetched Sampat Kumar's missing case file. Then, he handed to Srinivas. He studied the file carefully. Well, Srinivas began few minutes later. Missing person Sampat Kumar, age 24, height 5.7, Srinivas read out. Then he saw Sampat Kumar's photograph. He was looking very smart with dark curly hair and dark eyes. He had a white skin tone. The boy is looking nice, Ravi, Srinivas said. Yes sir, replied Ravi. I am going to deal this case, S.I. said. Go and get ready the jeep, we are going to Sampat Kumar's home now, S.I. ordered Ravi. Yes, sir, Ravi replied. He went out of the station and started the jeep immediately. S.I. Srinivas had finished off his coffee and got into the jeep. Then, they left the police station. They approached Sampat Kumar's home at almost 8:30 in the morning. It was a small individual house with compound wall around it and 5 feet height and 10 feet wide iron gate. A red car was parked inside the compound wall. They had got out of the jeep. Constable Ravi had opened the iron gate and let Srinivas go inside first. Then he went inside and closed the gate behind them again. Ravi knocked the main door of the house and waited. Few seconds later, Sridhar Kumar had opened the door. Yes, Sridhar said. I am Sub-Inspector Srinivas. And I am in charging of Sampat Kumar's missing case, Srinivas replied. Yes, Sridhar said. Please, come in, I am Sampat's father, he continued. The two policemen entered into the house. Sridhar took them to the hall and made them sit down on the sofa. The two policemen sat side by side on the sofa. Well, Srinivas began. Is there still anybody in the home? Srinivas asked. Yes, Sridhar replied. My wife, in fact, she is very tired. That is why, she is sleeping inside, he continued. We came here for a small inquiry in connection of your son's missing case, Srinivas said. I need to know some information in order to find your son. I have to ask you both some questions related to the case. Could you please call your wife out? He continued. Sure, sir, Sridhar replied. He went inside and took his wife to the hall. She was about 47 years old. She was plump and medium height woman with long dark hair and white skin tone. This is my wife Rekha, Sridhar said to the policeman. Hello, sir, Rekha wished Srinivas. "Hello, madam," Srinivas replied. "Please, sit down," he said to them. They sat side by side on the sofa in front of the two policemen. Sampath Kumar's parents were in great miserable. They were glum and grim. They seemed to be in dilemma. Both their faces were white and eyes became red because of lack of sleeping. They were too restless. "Well, Mr. Sridhar Kumar," S.I. Srinivas began. "What is your profession?" Srinivas asked. "I am a bank manager," Sridhar replied. "And what is your son's profession?" S.I. asked. "Actually, he had completed his engineering course before 2 years and he is looking for a job now," Sridhar replied. "Was there any argument held between you and Sampath before he left the home?" S.I. asked. "No, sir," Sridhar replied. "When did you see Sampath for the last time?" S.I. asked. "Yesterday evening around 6 o'clock when he was going out of the home," Sridhar replied. "Did he not inform you that where he was going?" S.I. asked. "No, sir," Sridhar replied. "We did not ask him anything," he continued. "What was his condition before he left the home?" S.I. asked. "He was being very sad and angry," Sridhar replied. "Not only Sampath, but also my wife and I were in the same condition," he continued. "Why and what was the reason?" S.I. asked. "Because of my daughter," Sridhar replied. "She had run away with her boyfriend to marry him," he continued miserably. "What?" S.I. exclaimed. "When did it happen?" he asked. "On 5th of July midnight," Sridhar replied. S.I. Srinivas got shocked. Constable Ravi was jotting down everything in the report from beside. "Could you explain us everything evidently that happened from your daughter's run away to until now?" Srinivas asked eagerly. "Sure, sir," Sridhar replied sadly. "So." Sridhar Kumar began to narrate. "My daughter Suma is our second child. She is 21 years old. She is studying engineering final year in the same college where Sampath had studied. We are very fond of her. On 5th of July midnight, she ran away with her boyfriend to marry him when we were sleeping. The following day, my wife Rekha woke up as usually early in the morning. She went to open the front door of the house. But she found that the door had been unlocked by someone already. She wondered, because no one opens the front door of the home apart from my wife early in the morning usually. She opened the door and looked out, but no one appeared to her. She shut the door again and came to me while I was sleeping in our room. 'Sridhar, get up,' she called and woke me up. I sat up and rubbed my face and eyes with my fingers. 'Did you unlock the front door?' she asked. I turned my head towards her slowly. 'No,' I replied. She turned back and left the room. Then, she went to Sampath's room. He was reading a book quietly at that time. 'Sampath,' she called him. He stopped reading the book and looked at his mother. 'Yes, mother,' he replied. 'Did you unlock the front door?' she asked. 'I did not,' he replied. Then, she went to Suma's room from there to ask her about the door lock. To her surprise, Suma was not in her room. She looked for Suma all over the home by calling her name loudly. But she did not find Suma in the home anywhere. She also looked out of the house for her daughter. But Suma was not found anywhere. Finally, she found a letter on the table in Suma's room. She took that letter in her hands and unfolded slowly. 'Dear mother and father,' she looked the words on the top of the letter from Suma. Suma left the letter for her parents before she had run away. Rekha began to read the letter again nervously. 'I am in deeply love with someone. But I have no adequate dare to tell about my love with you,' Suma wrote in the letter. She continued, 'Therefore, I am running away. I am extremely sorry. Please, forgive me. Please, do not try to find me for my sake. Yours lovely daughter, Suma,' she finished. After Rekha had read the letter, she astonished and burst into tears with afraid immediately. 'Sridhar, Sridhar,' she screamed my name. I jumped out of the bed and rushed into Suma's room at once. I saw her standing as a statue by holding the letter in her hands. Sampath also rushed into the room after me surprisingly. 'What is the matter?' I asked with astonishment. But she did not reply anything. I went to her and held her shoulder gently. Then Then she handed me the letter slowly without saying a word. Then I also came to know the bad news by reading it. I got dismayed and sat down on the bed with shock. My wife sank into the chair. "What is wrong, father?" Sampath asked confusedly. I could not answer. I remained the same. Then he took the letter from my hands and read it. He also got shocked and could not speak out anything. The room was awfully unpleasant. We could not believe that. We did not understand anything for some time. We were in dismal and bewildered condition. Slowly, we got so much angry on Suma. We could not bear that. It is awful. I began to speak out quietly after a long silence bitterly. She should not have done like that for us, I continued. She should have spoken with us concerning her love. If she had told concerning her love with us, we would have thought in favor of her love, I said. My wife and son remained the same in their positions. They did not say anything with misery. I stopped talking. The room was quiet again. Sampath dropped down the letter suddenly and darted out of the room aggressively. He went into his room and slammed the door. My wife and I did not leave the room. We spoke with each other concerning our daughter all over the day. We remembered our old memories with her. We stayed in all over the day without getting fresh and taking food. In fact, we did not like to eat anything. We did not even try to find or contact Suma. We thought that situation was changed abruptly in our house.